Okay, time to talk about September wrap-ups. I read 21 books in September. Um, I finished a few books that I had started in previous months, and I finished all the books that I started in September. So it was a really, really good reading month, numbers-wise. So, 21 books, no idea what the average rating is, but we'll start with the first book I read, which was Thinking Fast and Slow. This is my stack of books that I own that I finished this month. So Thinking Fast and Slow, this one's super highly recommended, about different systems of your brain, and how they operate and how it contributes to like decision making. And this book, oh my god, is 450 pages, and I thought that I got the gist of it in about 100. So I found it to be very, very repetitive and very, very boring. The second book I read this month was Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. So this book is the sequel to The Shining, and it follows the kid, Danny, a lot of years after the incidents of the books in the incidents of The Shining. And I thought it was pretty good. Okay, ratings. I gave Dr. Sleep 5 stars, and I gave Thinking Fast and Slow 1 star, which is brutal, but I just didn't enjoy it, and it was such a chore to get through, and it took me restarting the book twice to actually get through it. And I'm a pretty stubborn reader, so that's saying something. But Dr. Sleep was 5 stars. I haven't read much Stephen King that isn't 5 stars. Stephen King is my favorite author. The next book I read was The Choice by Edith Eger, and this book just reminded me why I love so much World War II biography books and historical fiction books from that era, because I think it's really important that we learn about what happened during World War II, and I personally didn't at school in my history. So this book, 5 out of 5 stars. I listened to it entirely on Libby, and I really, really enjoyed it. And you'll see that sparked the going down the World War II path again, which I've done in the past as well. Next book I read was A Dog's Journey by Bruce Cameron. This is the second book in the series, starting with A Dog's Purpose. A Dog's Purpose. The second book is A Dog's Journey, and the last book in the trilogy is A Dog's Way Home, which I have. But this one, 5 stars, made me cry. Great book. Yeah, not much more to say about that. The next book I read this month was Bossy Pants by Tina Fey's. So Tina Fey's autobiography. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars because I didn't know who Tina Fey was or what she did. And so I just found it really hard to tell when she was being serious or joking in her book. So maybe if I knew her better, I would enjoy it more, but there's a few moments that did make me laugh out loud, but for the most part, I was just confused. And she's very sarcastic, I guess, so yeah. Anyway, next book I read was A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Again, World War II era book, and this book was actually mentioned in The Choice, and that's why I knew I had to read it, and I found this really cool copy at the thrift store. Most of these books are thrifted. I'll tell you after which ones are thrifted. The next book we read was The Girl with the Lower Back Tattoo by Amy Schumer. So Amy Schumer's autobiography. I gave this one 4 stars, so 1 star more than Tina Fey's book, because I thought it was funnier and was easier to follow. Again, I don't know famous people very well, so maybe if you're an Amy Schumer fan, it'll be a 5 stars, but for me, I don't really know who these people are, so. But I found hers was a lot easier to follow, and following her life was a lot more of a linear path, whereas I felt like Tina Fey's was a bit all over the place. The next book I finished was Finders Keepers by Stephen King. So this is the second book in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I read Mr. Mercedes a few months ago, and I was on the hunt to find this one at the thrift store, and it took so long, and the minute I found it, I was so fucking happy. So I finally found it, and then I think the day I found it, I started reading it. So this has been on hold, but I finally found it, and it was my least favorite book of the trilogy. I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I enjoyed the characters. So it was good to be around them again. but it's kind of, books 1 and 3 have the same villain, I guess. I don't know if that's a spoiler. And then this one was a completely different storyline. So 4 stars. We still liked it though. The next book I read was Night by Elie Wiesel. Don't have it here. I gave this book 3 stars out of 5. Again, it's another World War II memoir book. Why did I give it 3 stars? I don't know, but it's probably a good rating because I don't remember much about the book. Yeah, I don't remember much. I read a lot of World War II ones, so like, there is that, but also it wasn't as memorable as the other books that I have read. The next book I read was Playing Nice by J.P. Delaney, and I gave that one 5 stars. That story was just so out there and so different from anything I've read in such a long time, and I just really enjoyed it. And at the beginning, I was very confused, but then I was so addicted. I couldn't put it down, and I listened to it on audiobook. I listened to it on Libby, and it was a really good book. It's about a family or 2 parents who have a child. At the beginning of the book, someone knocks on the door and tells them, "We have your child and you have our child," because they were actually switched at birth. And then it kind of follows that journey. So very interesting, very different. I really enjoyed it. Next book, Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. Gave this 4 to 5 stars. I started listening to this on audiobook, but it wasn't going fast enough because I read faster than the 1.25 speed, which is what I normally listen to, maybe 1.5. Because I find that the noise gets distorted or the voice gets distorted if the speed is any faster than that. And I was so into this book. So it's written pretty originally in the sense that this book is just the testimony of a woman. And so she goes to the police station and she gives her testimony on something. And there's no chapters, there's no points to stop, so you kind of just have to choose. And anyway, it's oh, sorry, the washing machine's on. So it's 300 pages, very different. I really enjoyed it though. Stephen King, right? Like, who doesn't love Stephen King? The next book I read was My Own Words by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Sparta, leave it. Go in your bed. Good girl. So this, when I picked it up, I don't know why, but I thought it was like a biography, an autobiography. But it is in fact a collection of her work and her speeches and her articles that she's written. So it was still incredibly interesting to read and learn about because, again, I don't know. I grew up in Greece and I live in Canada, so I didn't know who Ruth Bader Ginsburg was until she died. But learning about how much she contributed to like the progression of women's rights in America and the work that she's done for a lot of like really good causes, I really enjoyed learning. But again, not my favorite, so 4 stars? 3 stars. The next book I read was The Shadows by Alex North. So this is the sequel or the prequel to the Whisper Man sequel. It happened in the same universe as the Whisper Man. This was also a 3 stars for me, whereas I think the Whisper Man was 4 or 5. But I did enjoy it more than this one. This book, I read it pretty effortlessly, and there's parts that were pretty spooky, which I enjoyed, but it wasn't, it didn't pull me in and change my life. Well, actually, okay, I say that, but it did actually change my life, because this book is about dreaming, and like, there's a lot of talk about lucid dreaming, and so at the beginning of the book, they're kind of going over how some boys are trying to teach other boys how to lucid dream. So you're supposed to lie down and right before bed, you're supposed to say, "I am going to remember my dreams." Well, it's been 3-4 weeks, maybe probably more since I've read this book. No, less. But anyway, I'm being dramatic. And my dreams have gotten so vivid and woken me up, and I remember them all now, and they're so fucked up. I would rather not remember my fucked up dreams. So maybe it is life-changing. I don't know. Anyway, next book I finished was The Answer Is by Alex Trebek. I enjoyed this book. I didn't know who Alex Trebek was. I knew that he died, so I've never watched Jeopardy, but he did a good job of like communicating the highlights of his life and some good lessons that I really enjoyed learning, and I cried at the end. So, spoiler alert, he dies, but that's not funny, I'm sorry. But yeah, it was a good book. Again, if I knew these people, it would probably be better. The next book that I finished this month, and not a book that I started this month. Oh, wait. Sorry. The next book that I finished this month is End of Watch by Stephen King, 5 out of 5 stars. It's the final book in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I love Mr. Mercedes and the whole trilogy that goes with it. I like that book a lot. Did I cry? Yeah. The next book, which is the one that I did not start recently. So I started back in April, and I just got to a point, and I put it down for months, and then I finally picked it up and finished it. And it's The Return of the King, the third book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I finally finished The Lord of the Rings. I finished all 4 books, because including The Hobbit this year. Look at my beautiful copy. I don't enjoy battle scenes, so when it gets to battle scenes, I kind of zone out and wait for them to be done so that the story can move on. That's just my personal preference. But anyway, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. There's a moment at the end with the walking song, Roads Go Ever On, or The Roads Go Ever On anyway, that just tugged on my heartstrings. So probably would have been 3 stars, but that happened close to the end, so I had to give it 4. The other thing that's I really enjoyed about this book is that the ending is so different than it is in the movie. And I was not expecting that, but it was a nice surprise. The next book that I finished this month was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is an autobiography that I read years and years and years ago, and so I really enjoyed rereading it. 5 stars for me. Unputdownable. It was great. And I listened to it on audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by the author. Another book that I finished this month, but I forgot to put into Goodreads, is Dreams from My Father by Obama. And so that one was a 3-star book from me. But now that I've read all of his books, because I just finished The Audacity of Hope, I will say that Dreams from My Father is the least political. It makes sense, it was his first book, but it was the least political book that revolved around a story, more so than revolving around opinions. So I enjoyed that more than I have in his other books. So 3 stars, but maybe, I don't know, I hate to do this, but like 3.5 stars, and the other ones are like 2.5 stars, whatever. It was good. It was good. And even if you didn't know who Obama was, you'd be able to read the book. And that's what I enjoy about them, because I don't know people in politics, or, I don't know most people. So when I'm reading books that only talk about other people, they're not impressive to me, or they're not interesting to me, because I don't know and I'm not interested in those other people. Anyway, 2 more books for this month. Next one, Fahrenheit 451, a classic, apparently one of the greatest books of all time. No, it got better towards the end, so I gave it 3 stars, but man, I was suffering through this for a while. Oof, not the greatest. I don't know when it was written, maybe, 60th anniversary edition. Okay, so this is an old book. That makes it a lot more impressive, but this book, it was tough. It was tough to get through, but I guess I don't like it. But, okay, to be fair, I listened to it on audiobook, and oh my god, it wasn't read to me. It was performed to me, and I didn't enjoy that. There was way too much performing going on when I just wanted to listen to the story rather than listen to the voice. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, my voice is getting tired. Last book that I finished in September. It was technically after September because I stayed up late to finish it. I think I went to bed at like 12:30 or 1 a.m. on October 1st, so don't hold that against me, but it is Billy Summers. I read this as soon as I got it. I didn't want to buy it new, but I wanted to buy it so badly, and I own a first edition, and it's so beautiful and so gorgeous. Anyway, I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 5 stars. I enjoyed the story. It was very different again for Stephen King. I don't know what I think Stephen King is, but it was different than what I was expecting. And there's a few mentions of, like, I am starting to see tie-ins to other stories, and I really love that. So there's quite a big tie-in here to The Shining and parts of that I really, 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 really enjoyed. Okay, so that was it. 21 books read this month, the largest month of my life. The reason I was able to read so many books was because I discovered audiobooks and Libby, and that makes reading a lot faster. So, the other thing I wanted to go through, just for funsies, is how many of these books I have bought new versus used. So, Billy Summers is new, Fahrenheit 451, used from Value Village, Jeanette Wall's The Glass Castle. I got this for free when I bought another book from someone on Kijiji. Return of the King, new book because I wanted it to be beautiful. End of Watch, used from Value Village. The answer is used either from Salvation Army or Value Village. The Shadows, used, Value Village. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, used, Value Village. Stephen King, Dolores Claiborne. I don't remember if it's Kijiji or used from Value Village. Finders Keepers, used. I don't remember if it's Salvation Army or Value Village. Girl with Laura Back Tattoo, used, Value Village. Man Search for Meaning, used, Value Village for like $1. This book is worth picking up. Bossy Pants, used, Value Village. Dog's Journey, used, Value Village. The Choice, used. No, not used. Yes, used. But given to me after my mom and my sister read it. So I don't know where it came from. I'll put it in the new pile. Dr. Sleep, used. I think this was a Salvation Army purchase, which means $3.99. $3.99 for hardcover. First edition. Dr. Sleep. Brand new. I don't like dust jackets. Sorry if that offends you. And Thinking Fast and Slow. I'm sorry, honey. I stole it. I didn't steal it. They had like this little library where you bring a book and then take a book. So I don't know if you were supposed to take a book forever. But I gave them 2 books. So then I took 1 book forever. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it was years ago. Because, okay, so this book, I started and then could not for the life of me get through. But then I listened to it on audiobook, and I would never have gotten through it if I didn't listen to it on audiobook because it is so damn boring. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, so that's September wrap up. October goals. October goals is to consume 10 books. I don't know if I'm allowed to say read if I don't mean read. Some goals are to read It and The Wizard and the Glass. So 2 massive books by Stephen King. I want to read, I don't know, there's a lot of books I want to read, but I'm also going home, so I'm going to be away for the last 10 days of October, so I won't have my beautiful library with me. So yeah, I will do an October wrap-up when the time is right, but it probably won't happen until November because I'm going to be away. Okay, thanks, bye.